other things is that, for the 160k riders, they're going to be doing, on average, between 5 to 7 hours in the saddle.
Absolutely.
And they're going to get to a point, maybe at the 140k mark, where the cramping could come into play.
Okay.
What do you suggest for nutrition and preparation for that? Because it's an issue which a lot of cyclists face.
Okay. Let's have a look at, first of all, hydration. Can't stress it enough that you've got to hydrate. But you've got to hydrate if you've got an early morning session and you are up at 6 a.m. in the morning and you've got a 60k, 65k in front of you, you've got to be drinking water, you've got to be hydrating the night before, even the lunchtime before. You've got to carry water bottles with you all the time. And you've got to be able to sip water all the time. On the back of your shirt, carry a banana or two. Something that's going to give you a little bit to work on the body. Now, I'm a really big believer in it's what happens after your training session. One, you should be taking a protein supplement. Now, when we cycle, like when we run or when we lift or any moving activity, we burn body fat.
Yeah.
Right? We need to regenerate muscle tissue that's been worked.
Yeah.
So the most important thing is after a workout, irrespective of be a ride, run, swim, weights or whatever, we need to ingest protein in the form of a protein shake straight after. Good. Really important that we regenerate muscle tissue after having broken the tissue down through exercise. So my tip would be before a race or before a training session, the afternoon, evening before, obviously start to hydrate with your water. Most important, your Gatorades, your Powerades, your whatever. That's really good to have because of the sugar content. It's really good to have during the session and towards the end of a race, right? The most important thing is to have water beforehand. Now, the night before an event or the night before a training session, then we've got to stock up on the carbos. We've got to be into the pastas, the spaghetti, the lasagnas, the potatoes, a bit of bread, because that we're going to burn that stuff. Is beer out of the question? Well, James, in your case, a couple of brown Gatorades wouldn't be out of the question at any stage of your preparation. But the funny thing is, everyone sort of tends to pan beer. The funny thing is, after a session, a beer or a beer in moderation contains malt and yeast extract, which is all protein. So having a light ale...
So you're not endorsing it, but...
No, not endorsing, but the Sandhill Warrior. Look, the Sandhill Warrior, if I have a beer, it's a light beer with a dash of lemonade. Now, you can't get any lighter than that, James. I know, it's laughable material, okay? And I'd probably get shown the door at most of your watering holes, James, that you frequent. But and they'd probably laugh me out the back. But now, going back to the subject, so I'd be hydrating, carbo loading before a big session. And then when I finished that session, when I finished that race, I'd make sure that I'd be having some, when I finished the session, I'd have a protein shake. I'd then be having a little bit of fruit, maybe a sandwich to put something back into the body. Yeah. And then my next meal after that would be protein based.
Right.
Now, that's diet. That's a rough, without going into too much detail, that's just a rough guide. The most important thing after a session like that is to recover by doing a recovery session. Now, we all know about muscle fatigue. I live with muscle fatigue. When you come and train, you definitely live with when you come and train with me, you definitely live with muscle fatigue, right? So what we need to do at the end of a session is we need to do a recovery program. Now, our recovery program should be light form of exercise. Yeah. Maybe a little jog with some stretching. More importantly, let's look at what we need to do to get the muscles back. Get into some water. Yeah. Running in the water is the best thing. I'll finish a 2-hour training session in the Sandhills, and then when I finish that session, within half an hour to 40 minutes, I'll find myself, even in the middle of winter, running in the water, whether it be at the beach, whether it be in a pool. But I'll run forwards, backwards. I'll do sideways drill. I'll get some flippers on, I'll get a kickboard and I'll kick. Now, it's not meant to be a training session. Yes. It's a recovery session. Yes. But what I feel after that, within 3 to 4 to 5 hours, you know what? I'll freshen up and I'm ready to go again. Yeah. Now, what's important for your cyclists coming into the last 4 months of preparation is that when they finish the session, they need to be ready to go again for the next session, which means that not only diet is an important component, but they need to be into a structured recovery program.
Yes.
Now, the next day they could go to the gym, they could get on a rowing ergometer, they could get onto a jog on a treadmill, or they could then go and stretch using some TheraBands or whatever. But it's really important to reactivate the body immediately after a hard session. Me personally, I'm a big believer in the cold water. I think it freshens you up.
Right.
I think it's light, gentle exercise. It's low impact, but more importantly, it gets us ready for that next training session.